On a sunny spring day, prospector John was scouring Colo Creek on the southeastern side of Alaska's Caprino Island in search of gold. As he emerged from the island's forest, he was startled to find himself face to face with a massive Alaskan timber wolf trapped in a bog. The trap belonged to John's friend, George, a hunter who had passed away from a heart attack the week before. Realizing that he was the wolf's only hope for survival, John cautiously approached the trapped animal. The wolf, confused and frightened, backed away and strained against the trap's chain in a desperate attempt to free herself. It was then that John noticed a crucial detail. The wolf was a female, and her teeth indicated that she had recently given birth. Somewhere on the island, her hungry pups awaited her return. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, John paused in his tracks, hoping not to further frighten the distressed mother. Assessing the wolf's condition, John surmised that she hadn't been trapped for long, possibly just a few days, suggesting that her pups were likely still alive. With her young cubs to care for, the female wolf wouldn't have strayed too far from the den, so her pups wouldn't be more than a few miles away. However, John faced a dilemma. He needed to free the female wolf so she could return to her pups, but he was concerned that releasing her might provoke an aggressive response as she tried to protect her babies. Fearing for his safety, John devised a different plan to locate the wolf's cubs and reunite them with their mother. He began by searching for tracks or any signs of where the mother had come from. Eventually, he discovered a few remaining paw prints in the patches of snow around the bog's edge. Following these tracks, John traveled half a mile through the forest and then up a rocky slope, where he finally spotted the wolf's den. Approaching the den cautiously, John was careful not to startle the shy and wary pups. He knew that coaxing them out of the den would be challenging enough without adding unnecessary stress. The den was silent, giving no indication of whether the cubs were still inside. However, John knew he had to try to get their attention for his plan to work. He began by imitating the mother's call, a high-pitched squeak, but there was still no response. Undeterred, John persisted with his calls. This time, 4 tiny pups appeared at the mouth of the cave. They cautiously approached John and began suckling at his fingers, indicating their hunger and need for care. The pups, only a few weeks old, were clearly starving. John gently picked them up, one by one, and placed them into his burlap bag. With the baby wolves safely secured, John headed back down the slope towards their mother. Upon returning to the trapped mother wolf, she stood to attention, her eyes filled with recognition and hope. She let out a high-pitched whine, as if she knew that the man had her babies with him. John released the pups from his bag, and within moments, they were all reunited, the pups suckling at their mother's belly. Now that the pups were back with their mother, John still faced the challenge of freeing the female wolf from the trap. Every time John tried to get close to the wolf family, the mother would growl and warn him back, making it clear she didn't trust him yet. Accepting that he wouldn't be able to free her immediately, John searched for food to keep the mama wolf's strength up. He found a deer carcass and cut off a hindquarter to offer her. Knowing that gaining her trust was key to freeing her, John patiently waited, spending time near the wolf family. He built a rough shelter for himself nearby and settled in for the night. The next morning, he woke to the 4 pups sniffing at his face, a sign that he was making progress with them, if not yet with their mother. Over the following days, John split his time between prospecting and trying to help the trapped wolf. He would toss her pieces of venison and play with her pups, hoping to show the mother wolf that he meant no harm. Each time John interacted with the animals, he inched a little closer to the trap. On the evening of the 5th day, while delivering the female wolf's daily dose of venison, he noticed something encouraging. The wolf wagged her tail slightly, indicating a growing trust. Feeling hopeful, John sat down only 8 feet away from her, close enough that she could have easily harmed him if she wanted to. Surrounded by the wolf family, John drifted off to sleep. The next morning, John woke to the sound of the pups nursing and greeted them with gentle pets. To his surprise, the mother wolf remained calm, allowing him to touch her trapped leg. Though she flinched, she didn't resist. After days of effort, John's persistence was paying off. He examined the steel trap and found that it had only caught 2 of the animal's toes, which were swollen and cut but salvageable. John located the release catch and quickly freed the wolf. Expecting the wolf to gather her pups and retreat into the woods, John was shocked when she did something entirely unexpected. The wolf slowly approached John and began to lick his hands and fingers, much to his astonishment. It defied his knowledge about wolf behavior, but he welcomed the unexpected display of affection. After a while, the mother wolf decided it was time to leave. She gathered her pups and headed towards the forest, turning back to John as if inviting him to follow. Understanding her gesture, John gathered his belongings and followed the wolf. They descended Cooper Mountain and reached an alpine meadow. Along its edge lurked a wolf pack consisting of around 9 adults and 4 nearly full-grown pups. The mother wolf and her pups approached the pack, and after a few minutes of greeting, the entire family broke into howling. John watched from a distance, amazed by the spectacle before him. As night fell, John set up his camp. By the light of his fire, he could see multiple wolf shapes darting in and out of the shadows, but he felt no fear. He knew the wolves were simply curious about him. As dawn broke the next day, John prepared to leave, with the mama wolf watching his every move. As he reached the far side of the meadow, he looked back one last time. The mama wolf and her pups were still sitting there, watching him. John waved his final goodbye, and the mother wolf let out a mournful howl. He turned around and descended the mountain, unaware of what would happen next. 4 years later, after serving in World War II, John returned to Cobo Creek. As he walked through the familiar woods, something caught his eye. The rusted steel trap he had saved the mama wolf from. Seeing it, John felt a strange sensation, as if something was urging him to return to the meadow where he had last seen the wolf family. Following his instincts, John climbed the mountain until he reached the meadow. There he let out a long, low wolf call, a sound he had made many times before. To his surprise, a howl responded. John called again, and once more, a howl responded. A large, dark shape began to move towards him across the meadow. As it drew closer, John realized it was the timber wolf he had saved. The animal stopped in front of him, her bushy tail wagging slightly. Then, as quickly as she had appeared, she disappeared into the woods again. John left the island not long after, and while he never saw the wolf again, the memory of her and her pups stayed with him for the rest of his life. It's unknown whether this story is true, but the magical experience of bonding with an animal is one many of us know through our own pets. Sometimes, if people are lucky, they get to have a once-in-a-lifetime experience, much like John did with his wolves.